So here are the brutally honest truths that give you an unfair advantage scaling your 7 to 8 figure business. I'm George. I've built more than 70 custom systems for businesses that outgrew their software. I've watched up close truly what separates companies that scale from the ones that break due to that scale. And the reason they break is almost never what the owner thinks. And the fix is never the one that he reaches for first. Most of what you've been told and most of what you've learned about growing your business and running your operations is completely wrong. Some of these truths will sting. And to be honest, that's really the point. So let's get into it. So the 9 truths, these are ordered. The first one is the best businesses need fewer people as they grow, not more. If you run on efficient systems essentially mean that you need less humans inside of the critical path of your company. And the critical path is essentially a deal coming in all the way through to being delivered and whatever, some form of aftercare depending on your industry. But the more efficient you're able to go from A to Z with less people and more reliance on systems, then it's only true that the more jobs you get and the larger you scale as a company, pound for pound, you just need less people to actually support that growth. So the key takeaway in this one is that headcount going up and hiring more and more people is not a great sign always. It's only a good sign if they are doing stuff that only the humans can do in your company. But if they are doing stuff that robots should be doing, or that automations or tech or AI should be doing, then that is not something to be proud of. So that's the first. The second, most of the people you're about to hire are there to cover for a system that you never built. I truly believe that systems and people are on both sides of the spectrum. The more systems you have, the less people you need. This is just a fact of business. The reality is hiring, especially considering, let's just assume you're a non-technical founder, who pretty much most of the people watching this video, the only tool that you've really been handed in your arsenal was never tech. It was never software development or software engineering, obviously. It was mainly around people. So whenever you have problems in the business, you kind of reach for the most familiar thing to you, which is hiring more people, throwing more bodies at problems. You've not had this second tool in your arsenal, which is build systems for that. And there's levels to building systems, obviously. One version of building systems is just bloody using an off-the-shelf tool, but I'm talking about really building systems, building custom tech, building custom AI for your business. You've most likely lacked that expertise, that technical expertise in your business the whole way through. And so you've only been using the only tool you had at your disposal, bodies. And that's why when I walk into companies that are non-technical and they don't have someone like myself inside of their business, I see so many areas for improvement and so much impact that we can make. And that's what really drives me to do what I do. So that's number 2. Number 3, more sales won't save a business that can't hold the sales it already has. You've probably heard the famous saying that sales cures all. And up until a certain point, absolutely. I do like this concept of sales cures all because it essentially forces you to improve the state of things without letting go of this tap above your business. So you do want the tap of leads and sales always flowing through the business. I totally agree. But when you start thinking systematically, you start to see sales as a very dangerous force, because most people don't realize this. Sales can break a business. And if it doesn't break the business, it can break the person. It can break the owner. Do you want to scale being terrified of closing new work? Obviously not. You want to welcome new work. And the guys that are terrified are the ones who don't trust their systems to behave. And the guys that are excited about growth are the ones who have spent the time to make their operation as efficient as possible. So first, focus on handling the sales you already have, meaning making sure that all of your customers are getting a 10 out of 10 client experience and that never suffers. And also making sure that your bottom line is taken care of, that you're profiting as much as you possibly can for each job that you're taking on. Do that before you really turn the tap of sales on. And again, this advice is more for companies in the 7 to 8 figure range. If you're just starting out, sales is absolutely critical. You live or die by this. But if you're at 7, 8 figures and you're already getting sales as is, it's time to start looking at your systems if you're recognizing that there's a lot of inefficiency. Number 4, you don't need to become technical to fix this. You need it built right once. You don't need to learn software engineering. You don't need to learn coding. You don't need to learn tech. You don't need to learn AI. What you do need to learn is to have an open mind and to bring people into the business that have this expertise to give you this other tool in your toolkit. You want to approach problems from multiple directions. You want to talk about, should we bring people on to solve this problem? Should we build systems? Should we build tech? You need multiple brains in the room when it comes time to decide these things. But at its core, to fix disconnected systems, it is going to take a connected system. And I always say it takes one centralized system to solve all of your problems. That is the silver bullet. It really is. So you don't need to become technical. You just need to be open-minded. You need to be able to work with technical people. And you need to be able to work with others that can translate your business outcomes of what you're trying to achieve into technical solutions that separate you from the pack and truly solve your business problems. Number 5, the tool everyone in your industry uses can't do the one thing that makes you different. This one's an interesting one. When you start out and as you grow, you're most likely doing things the same way as everyone else in your industry. Because there is a standardized way of delivering your service, of going about sales in a certain way, of delivering it, of maintaining profit, of reporting, of creating dashboards and all this stuff. You're using off-the-shelf tools for everything, I hope. If you're not, then most likely you're just using spreadsheets and WhatsApp, which is fine when you're starting out. But as you grow, as you develop your own way of doing things, as you start to really scale the business, right? You start to actually develop your own ways of doing things. So some of your processes, they start to diverge from the norm, and you start creating better processes, right? And better systems, better ways of doing things that maybe for you increase your conversion rates on the sales front, or maybe it increases your profit per job. You're doing something that is different. And the reality is, as you go off and do this, the systems that you're using are still built for a generic version of your industry. So there starts to be this disconnect, and this is where the pain starts, and it manifests as you lacking confidence in your systems. That's when it starts. And what you find is that the way you're operating now is no longer being reflected correctly inside of your system. And so you have to get another system to potentially patch that issue. And you end up in a world where now you've got multiple systems, they're disconnected, and you're trying to patch them to fit your new way of working. This is where your inefficiency starts to climb as a company. And if you don't get on top of it fast, it can be out of control. And eventually you end up in a state where you are terrified of getting more work and more sales because maybe compliance is going to break down. Maybe your delivery process and your profit per job is going to break down. Maybe your client experience is going to break down and it's no longer going to be a 10 out of 10 experience, which you obviously want and need for your company to grow. So I want you to really shift your belief here that custom software is critical at a certain point. It's absolutely critical. It's do or die. And the sooner you're able to get onto it, the less growing pains you'll feel. So that's number 5. Number 6, AI won't fix a broken business. It'll just run the broken version faster. This one's an interesting one. People look at AI like it's a silver bullet. If I just implemented AI, then this process will be automated and improved. Sure, maybe that improves one part of your business. But I do believe that AI is almost like an accelerant. You probably know this, and you've probably seen some people make a lot of money, right? They always say that money doesn't change who you are, it just amplifies who you are. I do believe that with AI as well. AI is not going to fundamentally change your business or fundamentally change how you view your company. It's only going to amplify the way that you're currently operating. So if you're inefficient, if you rely on people to scale, then using AI is just going to amplify this. It's just going to lead to more of the same, right? It is important, and it's important you experiment with it. But what I urge you to look at and what I urge you to do is treat AI as one part and a subset of tech, but you have to look at your infrastructure and centralized system as a business first. You want to get that right. I would argue it's much better to take a look at that side of your business first before AI so that you can get the foundations right, you can get the infrastructure right. Because for AI to even do its job correctly or well, it needs a systematic business behind it. And you'll be able to actually use AI in more parts of your operation versus now, which is you can only probably apply it in 1 or 2 parts because the rest isn't optimized for AI to begin with. That's why I firmly believe that AI doesn't fix a broken business. The only way to fix a broken business is through centralized system and investment in bringing everything into one place, in investment in centralizing data, creating one source of truth across the business. So yeah, that's number 6. Number 7, more tools isn't more capability, it's usually less. The famous adage is that less is more. When it comes to business and systems, I could not agree more. I see companies that are doing $200 million in revenue that it's impossible for them to even release new features fast. That's the cost of having a complex operation. It means that it's harder to manage, it's harder to move. It's almost like being in quicksand. That's what I relate this to. The more tools in your business, you're essentially strengthening the hold that the quicksand has over your body. And you just go deeper and deeper and deeper. What you want to do is get rid of the baggage. What does that mean? It means instead of 5 tools to operate your business, have 1. Instead of 50 employees, have 20 employees. And even with mobility and health, right? The less weight you have, the less pain that are going to be on your joints. So try to strip away the entire business. And this is what I love doing more than anything. Strip away all of the fat. Start there. Just literally trim all the fat, all the systems, all the tools that you just don't use, that you pay for, that aren't doing much and that aren't in the critical path. Just say no to all of them, cancel all of them. Cool. Then you have a new baseline. From that baseline, ask how many people here, how many people are in the critical path right now for our entire business? And how do our systems support or not support that? Look at that avenue next. So trim it all the way down. Look at your software subscriptions. How much are we paying for yearly for our whole operation? Let's say it's 20 grand a year, 50 grand a year. That's one cost, but look at the hidden cost. Being so disconnected and spending so much on those subscriptions, how much are you paying in people to support that inefficiency? Because that likely is the bigger cost than the subscription bill itself. And then ask yourself, being so inefficient with each job, what's our growth cost? How much are we leaving on the table every day due to inefficiency? So always think less is more, less is more, less is more. Repeat that to yourself. Wake up and think less is more. That's number 7. Number 8, the software that actually scales you is boring. I mean, this one, if we start talking about systems or software or technology, it's an extremely boring topic. You know what's an exciting topic? AI. But you know what doesn't move the needle? AI. The boring stuff is the software, it's the logins, it's the stuff that you probably consider and bucket into the IT bucket. I truly think IT is boring. That's networking and your machines and all that security. That stuff to me is boring as hell. But when it comes to application, when it comes to software development or systems, the stuff that your team uses and logs into every single day, this is the most exciting stuff to me. Getting that right is really the stuff that does scale you. I think that the best system in your business is the one that you could just have to build once and it gives you like very little headaches. You just built it once and it's giving you so much value. Very little upkeep, very little management, very easy to maintain, very easy to extend and add more features to. That stuff you may perceive boring, but the more people you can have in your business that perceive that as the exciting stuff, I think the more strong your company will get with time. Number 9, if the person selling you the build won't talk you out of it, don't let them build it. Yeah, so look, custom software early on is probably a silly move. It's not necessary, it's not needed. It's very important to identify when the right time is to build custom software. In the olden days, your company would have to be super big to build custom software. Now I think you can be probably a fifth of the size. Instead of making 100 mil a year, just making 20 mil a year is more than enough to warrant building custom software. So it's not for the companies that are just starting out. Unless you have a very unique way of working from the get-go, should you build custom software. But assuming that you just do kind of standard stuff in the construction, waste, management space, what have you, early on, off the shelf can get you to a certain point. But yeah, once you want to start separating from the pack, once you want to start becoming a market leader and operating and thinking a bit differently, custom software comes in. So this point is just, don't trust the people that kind of give you one solution to all of your problems. I'll be the first to say use an off-the-shelf tool if you're not the right fit for custom software. So make sure you're not just speaking with tech people that are there for tech's sake, that don't have your true business goals at the center of their decision making. Because this all starts with business outcomes. We're not just building tech, we're not just including AI in our company just to satisfy some kind of urge that we've got, right? We're not trying to do this from an impulsive frame of mind. That's not the reason. You want to start with business outcomes first. And that starts with, what goals do we have as a company? Just start there. If you want to stay the same way that you are for the next 5 years, don't do anything. You can just stay as you are, literally. Like, why build custom software? Yeah, sure, it can give you more efficiency, but if you don't have like true growth targets, you don't want to be a market leader, you don't have that desire, then I would say don't look into this stuff. But if you want to be a market leader, if you want to triple your company over the next couple of years, it's going to take a different mode of operating. And you do want the partners that have your business outcome at the center of the decision-making process. You want everyone in your room really to be aligned on that. Because anything but that is what I call politics and bureaucracy, and you don't want that in your company. It's going to kill your company. I've seen it so many times. It's like a poison that gets seeded inside of your company, and it grows worse with time. Have the right people on your team that care about you, that care about your company's outcomes more so than their own ego. Ego is the enemy of systematic thinking. So there you have it. They're the 9 brutal truths that I wanted to share with you. If you want to learn more about building your own custom solutions inside of your business and kind of centralizing all your systems in one place, then I've left the link down below. So just book in a call with me and I will see you on the call.